Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
The Rick Robinson Show, where we say what we feel. Red dirt roads to the Capitol steps. Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand. Talking sense to the heart of this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show, where the truth rides high. No spin, no script, just an eagle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa, he's calling it out. Mic in his hand, yeah, he's got the clout. Heartland radio, raw and real. Tune in, speak up, and feel what we feel. He's breaking down the noise, cutting through the lies, shining the light where the shadow hides. With guests in the mix and callers on cue, he's a voice for the many, not the few.
And welcome in
Grab your coffee, raise that flag, stand your ground, never wave that rag. News with a backbone, voice of the free.
I'm just saying, I'm tired. I'm so tired of this crap on so many levels. Dude, okay, so I get it. I've been out of this type of work for a long time. last time I wore anything near a badge and a gun was back in 2008, 2009 ish. But I remember a time when people started, rioting in the streets that they would break out, riot hoses. I miss those. It's below freezing in Minneapolis today. I guarantee you there wouldn't be any rioting if we still were allowing our police officers to use the full equipment they've always had access to up until everybody decided that the police officer's job is actually to de-escalate the situation. Let me explain to you how a police officer, law enforcement officer, security enforcement officer, whatever you want to talk about, whether it's military, private sector working, security work, or law enforcement, whatever you want to talk about today. Let me tell you what our job as far as de-escalation was. If you fuck up, we lock you up. I'm tired of all of this. I couldn't. So I did a bunch of radio work last night after not really doing any for a while. So I was fired up. Like I couldn't sleep last night. Like I got maybe 2 hours worth of sleep. Then I started researching this article that apparently people who can survive on 5 hours of sleep or less apparently and still feel functional apparently have something they're calling the superhero gene. I think I may have that twice. Can somebody please tell one of them to start working on my metabolism again? Because I used to be able to eat anything I wanted to and never gained a pound, and then I had kids. Anyway, look, I don't know where we go from here. And I've been saying this now ever since I came back from my break in between the funeral and being sick and everything else. I don't know where we go from here because because pretty simply put, we can be watching the same things in real time, and depending on what your ideological bent is, you see something completely different, or somebody takes part of it and just cuts that part and then puts it out and like, see, the wheels are pointing away from the ice agent. There's no, she wasn't trying to hit. Dude, just stop. Just stop. And until you've had a car speeding at you and you don't know if you're going to be able to get out of the way in time, because I have, shut up. Do you guys, I mean, that's all I get. Well, why didn't he shoot the tires? Why didn't he do this? You know how hard I know everybody's used to seeing this stuff in movies and it looks so simple, leaning out the car window while you're chasing somebody at 80 miles an hour and trying to shoot out the tires. Yeah, they make it look really easy in the movies. That's not real life, though. You know what is real life? These are federal law enforcement officers, and they are there to do a job. They are there to do a job because the Minneapolis Police Department is refusing to do their job. Now we have the mayor of Minneapolis screaming and yelling about how the self-defense claim made by the ICE agent was bullshit, his exact words. And I'm sitting here looking at the video going, you can see the guy that's off the frame in the beginning, who's actually in front of the vehicle, while the other guy's trying to reach in and tell her to stop the car. Because if you've paid any attention to the video and actually listened to the audio during the exchange, these people have had enough of her. This is the third or fourth time that she showed up at them while they were trying to do their jobs today, or that yesterday at various places. And they finally said, okay, that's it, get out of the car. They had enough. If you've been watching these officers, when they deal with the protesters, they have a hell of a lot more patience than I ever did when I was in any semblance of a uniform. Because I wouldn't put up with that shit. I still won't to this day, and I don't even wear a uniform anymore. I mean, unless you count my Trump hat that I wear all the time when I'm on the air. But I keep coming back to the same problem because I don't know where we go from here. And I wish I didn't keep having a vapor lock happening when I get to this point, because I just don't know where we go from here, because there's so much of this that is coming that people are finally starting to talk about, because they're finally starting to see it in real time. And it's, Scott Jennings, put this out on X yesterday. What happens when a political party spends a year radicalizing their base against ICE agents with increasingly unhinged rhetoric? Tragically, I fear we're learning exactly what happens right now in Minneapolis. So I'm going to put this on the screen real quick because we're definitely going to talk about this. So hang on. Everything seems Maybe it's just because I'm more tired than I realized, but everything seems different right now. I'm like,
I agree
seems the
with
same
you,
every day.
Jonathan. I think there's some
Why
details
do
we
I
don't
not
know
have
yet.
any audio? Oh, I know why I don't have any audio. Because my dumb butt forgot to turn that slider back up. Did I mention I'm my own producer? So I would fire me, but then I wouldn't be able to do the show either. Hey, I see you smiling over there. Knock that off.
I agree with you, Jonathan. I think there's some details we don't know yet, and we'll have to learn more about it. What strikes me is, first of all, it's extremely sad and unfortunate that someone died. I mean, the political fighting and disagreements aside, it's terrible. You don't want people to die in law enforcement situations or otherwise. But it strikes me that we are undergoing an epidemic of political vigilantism right now. Why are people showing up in vehicles, in convoys, not just in Minneapolis, but all over the country in an effort to obstruct lawful federal law enforcement activities? This is not an isolated incident. We have had hundreds of car rammings against ICE agents all over the country. According to DHS, this lady in this car today, along with other vehicles, had been tracking ICE agents around. Why are people believing that they can drive their car into a federal law enforcement situation and that is an appropriate thing to do? I understand they don't like the fact that these agents are enforcing existing immigration law, but that's not how we change laws in this country. If you don't like a law, you talk to the politicians. You don't drive your car into the middle of a building or a law enforcement situation that's being occupied by the people who are simply there to enforce the law. If I don't like how much the IRS is charging me in taxes, I don't drive my car into the Treasury Department and try to run somebody over. I call my congressman. Political vigilantism is being encouraged by Democratic officials like the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan, who earlier this year told people to, quote, put your bodies on the line, and Tim Walz calling these guys Gestapo all year. What do you think happens when you radicalize a base of people about this? It does strike me, Scott.
And he's asking a very salient question. What do you suppose happens when you radicalize your entire base and have them go around spending the last year saying that ICE agents are Nazis and they're subhuman and they're doing terrible things to people when they're not? They're doing their jobs. You guys might not like their jobs, but let's be honest, they wouldn't be having to do their jobs in the fashion that they're doing them if your police department was doing their job. If they were honoring ICE detainers, none of this would be happening. People, the illegals would be being arrested for something else because 9 times out of 10 they are being arrested for something else. ICE would flag it in the system that they have a detainer for them, and the next thing you know, Bob's your uncle. They're over there grabbing them from the jail in handcuffs, going, "Okay, you're going up in front of a deportation judge. Let's see how this goes for you." And that would be the end of it. But we can't do that because you have entire left-leaning cities and states that are currently committing insurrection against the federal government. They keep trying to say that January 6th was an insurrection. January 6th was not an insurrection. This is an insurrection. This is, I mean, at this point, and I don't even want to say this out loud because I'm afraid somebody's gonna figure out that it's time for us to go ahead and do it. And I'm not, as much as something needs to change, I'm not ready for this particular change. But I'm honestly surprised that Donald Trump hasn't declared martial law yet. With everything that's happening, with the number of times that these officers are being assaulted with vehicles and everything else, and the fact that we're finding out that George Soros, Mr. Moneybags himself, is basically radicalizing these people and teaching them how to, and running courses on how to organize the protests and how to use your vehicles to block roadways and yada, yada, yada. Look, folks, that's not a peaceful protest anymore. Once you are blocking a thoroughfare, especially without a permit, meaning that the city has to, send you barricades and stuff that you can use to block off that particular section of the road, then you are violating federal and state law. I don't care if you like it or not. That's the truth of it. And it's just like Scott said in this clip, Mr. Jennings, if you don't like the law, you don't go protest. You start fighting to change it by going to vote. I don't know where we go from here because, again, we're watching the same things happening in real time. It's not even differences of opinion anymore. We're watching the same things in real time, and depending on who you think is a good guy or not, then you're going to have a completely different perspective as to what just happened in Minneapolis yesterday. Because everybody who thinks Trump is an a-hole automatically is like, oh my God, these Nazis killed a woman in cold blood. No, actually, she took it upon herself to try to flee the scene after they were basically told her to get out of the car because they'd had enough of her crap. And then tried to run whether she tried to run somebody over or not, she actually did pretty much, I mean, she hit him with the car. You can say it didn't happen all you want, but it happened. All right, so we got to take a look at this. This is from Town Hall. This is Matt Vespa. He says NBC did something no other outlet will likely do. So let's see if this is a good or a bad thing or not, because we're going to find out together. So this is an article about the ICE agent who shot and killed the deranged leftist who tried to ram him in Minneapolis. Now the liberal media is running amok, peddling the lies from Democrats because that's the drill. This is the Democrat media complex at work. Yet one outlet deserves some kudos for showing all angles and a frame by frame of the video that captured the incident. Even the Media Research Center's Newsbusters division had to tip its cap. NBC's Tom Winters explained the shooting in real time and even showed the angle where you see the ICE agent being hit by a 3,000-pound vehicle. Actually, it's closer to 4,700-pound vehicle, I think. Anyway, even his initial report wasn't insane, or wasn't as insane as we've seen from other Democrats on the Hill and other media outlets. Look, a broken clock is right twice a day, but I doubt most outlets will do a breakdown like this for obvious reasons. It shows that this was a justified shooting. And up until now, I've been shying away from showing these videos, but we're going to go ahead and talk about this for a second, and we're going to let everybody see it. So I'm going to try to make it, I'm going to embiggen it on my screens as much as possible so that you guys can see it while we talk about it here. So hang on.
Stuff we were learning from the get-go. Again, the police chief saying this vehicle was blocking the federal agents right there.
That's right, Tom. And a big caveat, we don't know what happened before this, but they're definitely going to look at the fact this is an unmarked vehicle, but the lights are on. These are clearly members of law enforcement, so that's at least known to this driver.
Let's play the video because something else happens right here. Those officers approach the vehicle. They try to open the door. Let's stop it here. How will this help the investigators?
Whatever is said here, what these officers say.
All right, bear with me because I'm going to back this up for just a second because I want you guys to see something. All right, look, you see the guy who is reaching in and trying to open the door. Now, hang on, let me still make this bigger. I think we're going to do that. Hang on. Yeah, much better. All right. So I'm going to make my talking head go away in a minute. I just want to be here for this part of it because I want to show you this. That part right there. See that guy's head right there? You see the dude with the cap? Then you see this guy with no hat on. Pardon me, I don't know. I was perfectly fine yesterday, and now suddenly my allergies are killing me again. Probably because it's raining enough that it's trying to clear this stuff out, and it's not hard enough. Anyway, all right. So you see this guy right here? This is another ICE agent. Look at what's happening here. We got no reverse lights on yet. Car pointed straight at dude. And let's not forget, the shot that took her out was aiming at the front windshield. Which means it's this guy that you can barely see right there is the one who fired the shot.
Whatever is said here, what these officers say, if the driver said anything or not, could really help them understand whether or not they thought there was some sort of an imminent threat. Was this person trying to listen to them? Were they scared? Or was this going to be a problem?
And then, of course, what the driver does next. Let's play that video. Trying to leave there. One of the officers felt like they were forced to fire, and they do. We want to show another angle, reverse angle of the same incident here. We're going to freeze it. This is that same angle here. And what is...
Look, right there. Look. I wish I could. I should have done this in advance and zoomed in even more and screen captured it. But you can plainly see dude being hit by the car right there. Because remember, he's not the one with the hat on. Dude with hat over here. Dude with no hat right here. Getting smacked by the damn car.
Show us, Tom.
Well, this appears to show an officer right in front of the vehicle. That in between the way that the vehicle was moving and the timeline of that, how was the officer responding in that split second going to be critical for investigators.
Finally, one more piece of evidence we want to talk about here, and it is the bullet hole in the front of the windshield. What will this tell investigators?
Now, you look at this, you look at ballistics, you look at witness statements, you look at other video, all going to be part of this investigation. But, Tom, it's going to take some time.
All right. So looking at all that, and we're going to go ahead and I know I'm going to spend a lot of time on this today because I feel like I have to, because there's too many people that are just being complete dicks about what happened. Look, I'm upset that the Lick-a-Lot-a-Puss in the Honda Pilot is dead too, but she's dead because she was stupid. It's kind of like that line from Top Gun, you know, when Maverick and Goose are, you know, about to get chewed out because they went below the hard deck and buzzed the tower. And then Goose is like, "Hey, Mav, you know the number? You still have that number to Truck Masters, whatever the hell that fucking trucking company was in the '80s that was like all over all the commercials." And then he's like, "Ladies and dear sir, dear madam, we regret to inform you that your sons are dead because they were stupid. The Lick-a-Lot-a-Puss on the Honda Pilot was stupid." And I'm not going to go as far as some people, because I've seen some people basically saying that as far as they're concerned, she's a commie and commies aren't human. I'm not going to go that far. I am going to say this. If you're dumb enough to try to take out a cop with a car, whether accidentally or on purpose, you deserve whatever the hell happens to you. Now let's watch this again without me pausing it.
Stuff we were learning from the get-go. Again, the police chief saying this vehicle was blocking the federal agents right there.
That's right, Tom. And a big caveat, we don't know what happened before this, but they're definitely going to look at the fact this is an unmarked vehicle, but the lights are on. These are clearly members of law enforcement, so that's at least known to this driver.
Let's play the video because something else happens right here. Those officers approach the vehicle. They try to open the door. Let's stop it here. How will this help the investigators?
Whatever is said here, what these officers say, if the driver said anything or not, could really help them understand whether or not they thought there was some sort of an imminent threat. Was this person trying to listen to them? Were they scared? Or is this going to be a problem?
And then, of course, what the driver does next. Let's play that video. Trying to leave there, one of the officers felt like they were forced to fire, and they do. We want to show another angle, reverse angle of the same incident here. We're going to freeze it. This is that same angle here. And what does this show us, Tom?
Well, this appears to show an officer right in front of the vehicle. That in between the way that the vehicle was moving and the timeline of that, how was the officer responding in that split second going to be critical for investigators.
Finally, one more piece of evidence we want to talk about here, and it is the bullet hole in the front of the windshield. What will this tell investigators?
Now, you look at this, you look at ballistics, you look at witness statements, you look at other video, all going to be part of this investigation. But, Tom, it's going to take some time.
All right. No, I don't know. I'm sorry. I disagree. This investigation shouldn't take any time at all. Again, dude was in front of the vehicle trying to do his job to stop someone from fleeing the scene and resisting arrest, and was hit with a 2-ton vehicle in the process. There doesn't need to be an investigation. There definitely shouldn't be any type of a long-term investigation. And again, since we're not talking summer of love this time, we're talking winter of discontent. Just want to remind everybody, it's below freezing in Minneapolis today. A couple of riot hoses and these people go home. Dear Christy Nome, if you're listening, riot hoses. Riot hoses plus freezing weather equals commies go home. Just saying. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take the first break because I have something new that I want to play. This is part of the reason why I'm a little more sleep deprived than usual. I had a song idea in my head, couldn't go to sleep until I got it out of my head. So we're going to play that right now while we go to break. So my name is Rick Robinson. You're listening to my show right here on KLRN Radio. And we'll be back in just a second. But now I got to figure out what I'm doing here because I forgot where I hit it. All right, there we go. Hang on. All right, here we go. New music dropping right here first. Except for those of you that I've already sent it to privately, but you're the special people, so.
darkness grips the heart of men, and truth becomes a lie. They dress their greed in borrowed prayers and call it justified. The loudest mouths preach mercy with a knife behind their smile. They laugh at those who won't bow down or walk their crooked mile. Those who stand for virtue will be rejected again and again, cast out in the cold for believing that right is still right. Even then, they'll say you're a fool for loving truth and lost for holding the line. When darkness grips the heart of men and truth becomes a lie, they trade their souls for silver and call the bargain peace. They curse the chains of righteousness while begging to be free. The crowd will cheer the liar if the lie feels warm and kind, but stones are safe for anyone who dares to reject the lies for the truth. Those who stand for virtue will be rejected again and again, branded the enemy for refusing to kneel as weak men did. They'll crown the wolves as shepherds and blindfold every eye. When darkness grips the heart of men and truth becomes a lie. Blessed are the lonely who won't betray what they believe. The road is narrow, the cost is high, but chains don't set you free. I'd rather walk with scars and God than kneel with gilded hands. Truth don't need 1,000 voices, just one that dares to stand. Those who stand for virtue will be rejected again and again, but the fire they try to bury still burns in faithful men. And then let the ages judge the moment, let heaven hear our cry. When darkness grips the heart of men, we will not live the lie. take his name, but truth don't die. burns eternal flame. It's got the pulse of liberty. It's the Rick Robinson Show. Bold, unafraid. Truth bombs drop in a red state parade. From the plains to the power, he's speaking it loud with a mic and a mission that makes us proud. Talk for the people, talk that's real. The Rick Robinson Show, where we say what we feel. Guitar band or a patriotic drum hit to close the intro cleanly.
I just realized there's some housekeeping on the back of that one that I keep forgetting to clean out before I output it, so I'll have to fix that later. I did a remix on it since I've figured out a few more tricks on how this stuff works, and I keep forgetting that there was an issue with the take that I liked that I fixed manually before. So when I have to go do that again. Anyway, so we're back. We're live, and it's Thursday. Dude, after not really doing anything but, projects that I really, really, really like to do, like working on music and writing and working on writing the book, the children's book, trying to get back into the swing of things on my full workload, especially after, trying to take a vacation and then my whole world going sideways because my kid brother died. I'm telling you, dude, it has been really tough trying to get back into the swing of things. And this whole friggin', me having to take my springtime allergy medicine in January. Oh my God. Anyway, dude, I took it today too. I don't know why it's so much worse today. I think there must have been something kicked up by the high winds that were coming through here earlier. Cause all of a sudden I can't breathe at all. We're going to tough it out though and get through the show. So, all right. So, there's just stuff all over the place with this. I'm just trying to have it all pulled up and in notes. So I want to talk about this because this actually happened, and I wasn't expecting it to happen. And it since it actually even did happen, it happened a lot faster than I expected it to, especially since I wasn't expecting it to happen at all. But does anybody remember the Minneapolis hotel that basically started refusing service to ICE agents? Turns out it was a franchise that had leased the rights to use the Hilton name. And so for one Hilton hotel chain in Minnesota, the new year started off with a franchise-ending bang, and it was entirely self-inflicted. The Hampton Inn, one of the many properties owned by the Hilton Hotels brand in Lakeville, was not only refusing bookings for government employees, but also put in writing that they wouldn't allow members of ICE or DHS to stay at that location. It took Hilton and the operators of the Hampton Inn Everpeak Hospitality hours to respond to the controversy, but both said the same thing: we don't discriminate against anyone. That was a lie because reporter Nick Sorter this Nick Sorter kid is like all over the place. I want to go back to being his age and be that dude because he's just like out just kicking ass and taking names. Anyway, went to the location after those statements were issued and was still denied a room. Under management policy, that was the last straw, and Hilton removed the location from their website. Now the Hampton Inn sign that stood outside the property has also been removed. Dun dun dun. And there's actually an X post of it being removed. I think I'm going to put that on the screen. Hang on. It's going to make me share this, though. Hang on. All right. So we're going to do this in phases here just so you can kind of see the before and the after. Hey, we have a Zelda sighting, and she just woke up. But for her, it's early, so that's all right. Grab some breakfast, and you can do your post-breakfast nap. It's all good. All right. Anyway, so there's the hotel with the Hampton sign. And voila, there's the hotel after the Hampton sign has been removed. So not only are they no longer affiliated with Hilton at all, they're also now no longer affiliated with Hampton Inn. which again, I'm sorry. This is the part of my life that I'm in. If you cannot be a civilized person and behave like a human being, I don't want to be around you anymore. It really is just that simple, and that's what we're finding with all these unhinged leftists is they don't even know how to be decent human beings anymore. They don't care. The same people that were screaming about this lickalotopus in the Honda Pilot who just got offed, you know, deservedly so in my opinion. You shouldn't have tried to ram a cop. Sorry, said what I said, and I'm not sorry. But these same people, this happened on the 7th. These same people on the 6th were dancing on Ashley Babbitt's grave. The same exact scenario as far as these people are concerned, with one very distinct difference. If you've actually gone and found the footage of Ashley Babbitt, what you will see in the little bit that you can find is she was actually trying to stop people from going inside the Capitol. And she got killed. Now, not only that, but these same people that are completely up in arms and freaking out over the death of this lickalotopus in the Honda Pilot. Yes, I'm going to say that quite often today because I can. And why the hell not? Is these same people were grave dancing all about Charlie Kirk and how much he deserved to be taken out, and trash talking his wife and talking about how the fact that she's doing all these public appearances proves that she never really loved him. That's not true. Some of us, when we are dealing with grief, work a lot. Ask my friends. Since my divorce, I've barely taken days off, much less a vacation. And every time, and I'm about to stop even trying to do that because every time I try to take any form of a vacation, something else blows up. Tried to take one over the summer. My house tried to kill me. Tried to take one in November. My brother died. I'm apparently destined to work until I can't breathe anymore. So there's that. But all of this is just so insane to me that you have people that, and I know I'm saying this a lot today, but I need you to understand how perplexed I am by this because I don't understand how we can have people looking at the same things happening in real time and have completely different perspectives. Now, it was one thing when it was, like I said, it was one thing when it was a difference of opinion. It really was. But we're not talking about difference of opinions anymore. We're talking about different points of view when looking at actual facts that are happening in real time. These people were convinced that she was murdered. She wasn't murdered. She'd been harassing them all morning. They finally had enough and said, "Get the hell out of the car." Then they were advancing on her to get her out of the car. And she tried to drive off. In the process, she hit an ICE agent with her car. That is assault with a deadly weapon. And I'm sorry, and I don't want to hear anymore about Christy. Well, Christy Noem saying, "Well, these are terror attacks." Then do something about it and quit saying it's a terror attack. If it's a terror attack, treat it like one. Every single one of the people that were involved in that convoy should be catching the assault and battery charge that she can't catch because she's dead. That's you get attempted murder, assault and battery with a deadly weapon. I don't care which one you go with, but do something. You can't keep throwing around words like terrorism and not doing something. This is one of the reasons why I got so pissed off when for years, even under Joe Biden, they were talking about how bad the cartels were in Mexico and how bad this was and how bad that was. And I'm like, use the Patriot Act, motherfucker. That's what we've got it. I don't like it, but we've got it, so you might as well use it. So let's use it. Declare them terrorist organizations. You know, if these people are terrorists, you know what that means? You can seize their bank accounts. You can cut off their government funding because they're committing acts of terror. Domestic terror is still terror. If you're going to throw around the phrase domestic terror, then use it to its full extent. Or quit saying it. This is so much of the same problem that we've had for the last couple of generations now. Is we have a bunch of people who've never had to face consequences in their lives that have always gotten participation trophies, who now live in areas where they don't send police officers anymore. They send social workers out to situations because they want to de-escalate. I'm going to say this again. You know how police officers de-escalate situations? They arrest the people that are escalating the situation. And they keep arresting the people that are escalating the situation until the situation doesn't escalate anymore. So instead of sending 200 ICE agents into Minneapolis, why not send 400 ICE agents into Minneapolis? Have 200 of them doing the warrant sweeps, the pickups, whatever you're having them do there, and have the other 200 blocking for you people and arresting everyone who tries to stop you. And I don't know, maybe start giving them a taste of their own medicine. Start impounding their vehicles. There are things that can be done. There are things that should be being done because public safety is job number one for anybody with a badge. That's it. That's it. And I'm watching all this stuff. I mean, it's happening right now. Like when I was starting to do show prep, I'm turning on the news. I had to turn it off again because I'm looking at all this stuff and there's like protests and stuff happening in real time. And people on Fox News and CNN and News Nation and all the other ones are like, it's 29 degrees in Minneapolis and these people are still out there protesting. You know what would fix that? Fire hoses. Fire hoses and winter of discontent equals commies go home. This isn't the summer of love. It's not hot out there anymore. The tempers might be a little hot. Everybody might have a little bit of a flare-up going on, especially because one side thinks that this lady was murdered because they're retarded. Again, said what I said. Sorry, not sorry. Because it's the truth of it. These people are insane. Anybody who can look at that video and try to make justifications, well, we shouldn't have been standing in the way of the vehicle. Well, you know, it's funny because when we say that about you fucking protesters, you guys are pedestrians have the right of way. Well, guess what? He wasn't in a car, so that makes him a pedestrian. So guess what? That's where we are. All right. So if you want to know where this is coming from, it's not, I mean, it's coming from some folks at the top of this mess. Watch this. I'm not even going to talk about this before I show it to you. So hang on, because that would ruin the surprise. That's not the right one. Hang on. I forgot where I was. All right. Now let's try this again. All right, so we're talking about this lady right here. See the finger pointing and stuff going on? That's a raging lunatic leftist Democrat getting in somebody's face over what was happening in Minneapolis. Just so you know. All right, so I think we've played enough of that at least to have it like actually running. So let's do this. All right, so for those of you who don't know who that was, I'm about to tell you. Eventually. Maybe. Maybe not. You never know. All right. So this is from Rusty Weiss over at Red State. Tensions apparently exploded on the House floor over the fatal shooting of a woman in Minneapolis on Wednesday, leading to one Democrat lawmaker needing to be pulled away from her Republican colleague after an animated tirade. Democratic Rep Angie Craig, Minneapolis District 2, who is running for Senate in the North Star State based on the strength of being, let's check the notes here, a lickalotopus who was procreated, got into it with House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, Minneapolis 6, reportedly over the shooting of a woman who opted to defy orders from law enforcement and then use her vehicle as a weapon. So that's not even pretend there's any justification for the arguments here. The ICE agent had every right to use his weapon based on the woman's actions, which were made clear in every angle posted to social media. And as Red State editor Bob Hose wrote, she jammed the accelerator and struck an officer while he fired back, killing her. It's rather clear cut. Unless you're a leftist moron. So this isn't normal behavior, though. So we watch the video, and this woman is like wildly gesticulating and finger pointing and needing to be pulled away by someone, later identified as another Democratic rep, Betty McCollum out of Minnesota 4, because you've clearly crossed a line. None of this is normal. Multiple sources speaking to Axios on the heated exchange report that Craig told Emmer, who defended the ICE officers in the wake of the shooting, the Republicans' political stunts in Minnesota got a woman killed. Nah, Democrat political stunts got a woman killed. Such as the ones that you're refusing to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, refusing to honor ICE detainers, spending months on end physically impeding ICE operations themselves, or baiting warped leftists into taking actions against officers. Like one certain Democratic Congress critter who basically told everybody, put your own bodies on the line to stop these ICE agents from hurting your neighbors. Well, somebody took that to heart. So you know who else should be catching that assault charge? That person. Because they are in a position of authority and making statements inciting violence. I'm sorry, I am a huge proponent of free speech, but if you are if you're a public figure, an actual politician elected to office, and you're saying crazy shit, I mean, look at this from another perspective. These people had to take everything Donald Trump ever said completely out of context to make him seem like a monster, like the good people on both sides hoax, the go start a riot at the Capitol hoax. All these things were done through faulty editing. These people are seeing the same things happening. Well, I say faulty editing, but intentional bad editing would be a better point to say that. But these people over and over again keep showing us who they are, and some of you people keep voting for them, and I just don't get it anymore. But apparently she was only acting out what others had already done, and apparently it was instigated by her own wife in the hopes of getting a viral video for social media. Yeah, this is the Lick a Lot of Puss in the Honda Pilot. This was a social media stunt. Her wife convinced her to do this stuff. Her wife, the one you hear yelling, the woman you hear yelling as she's being shot, that's her wife. Her wife was the one that convinced her apparently to do these things. So you know who else should be catching the assault charge against that police officer? That person. Emmer apparently raised the ire of Craig by voicing his support for ICE following the shooting. Our brave ICE agents put their lives on the line every day to protect our communities from dangerous criminals. May God bless and protect them in their efforts, he said in a statement. The Senate candidate, meanwhile, posted a video on X, and it went a little something like this. Hang on. Dude, I just realized they got rid of the tab that I used to use. I finally got used to using the tab that they had. There was a shortcut. Now they've taken it away. Ugh. People, I swear. Quit messing with your GUI. It's fine. Leave it alone. Stop justifying your salary by making my shit harder.
For months, I, along with many of my fellow elected officials, law enforcement agencies, and community members, have warned of the dangers of the Trump administration's chaotic, reckless, and unnecessary ICE operations in our cities. Today, our worst fears became reality when an ICE agent shot and killed a woman in South Minneapolis. This is beyond unacceptable. It's unconscionable, and it's sickening. President Trump and his administration will try to justify their meddling in Minnesota, and they will continue to lie and say it's about keeping folks safe. But Minnesotans know that isn't true. It's a flat-out lie. Today, the president's political stunt got a woman killed. Trump's actions have never been about keeping people safe. They've never been about catching criminals. They've always been about weaponizing our immigration system and using immigrant communities as political pawns. President Trump, Secretary Noem, hear me loud and clear. ICE must leave Minnesota now. We are a nation of immigrants. Immigrants are essential members of our communities. Immigrants make up the fabric of our state and they make us stronger. To my fellow Minnesotans, stay peaceful, take care of one another, and know that I am fighting this reckless administration at every turn. We won't back down.
We won't back down. Oh, wait, sorry. My bad. And she's right about one thing, but she's wrong in how she's saying it, because we are, in point of fact, a nation of immigrants. The people that we're talking about, though, are not immigrants. They are illegal aliens. They have broken into our country. And I'm going to say this again. For all you people that keep telling me that I need to be a bleeding heart like the rest of you, and unless or until you are going to bed with your doors open and unlocked, your windows open and unlocked, your car unlocked, and your keys in it, so if anybody needs to come in and use your facilities, grab a nap, eat some food, borrow your car, unless you're doing all those things, stop telling me that I'm not being a good enough neighbor. Because I have no issues with immigration. None. For the people that are willing to come here, that are willing to do it the right way, that are willing to assimilate and eventually become part of the America that I know and love and that we are starting to return to, which is the real reason why all the leftists are pissed off today. Because we're starting to enforce our laws again. They can't have that. You know, sorry, I was thinking of Reagan's kid that just passed away, but I realized I was crossing streams with somebody else. But sorry, so it threw me off for a second. But even though I don't listen to him very much anymore, Michael Savage used to have this whole saying, he can't be a country without borders, language, and culture. How much more of that have we now seen is totally true? Look at what's happening in Britain. Nobody's talking about all of this that's happening with the Islamists over there. Nobody's talking about the active calls to prayer, which honestly are illegal in most. This is the part that nobody talks about with Islam. Do you realize that they don't pray in public in Islamic countries? They don't all go out into the streets and go bow to Mecca for prayer time. No, it is a private time. As a matter of fact, in most Islamic countries, it is considered rude to pray in public. So why is it that these supposed devout Islamists, when they go into a foreign land, suddenly make a huge deal about being able to have their call to prayers played and make a huge deal and make a public spectacle about praying? When I was a team leader at Converges, one of the other guys who was a team leader at the same time was a practicing Muslim. And he always made this huge production about how it was time for him to go pray, which wouldn't happen if he was an Islamist living in an Islamic country. He would just go pray and shut his mouth. But there's a reason they do this. It's called intimidation. You suddenly have hundreds of people flooding into your streets, bowing to Mecca. It's an intimidation factor, and it's working. These riots that are happening in Minneapolis today, and yes, I called them what they are. They're riots. Once you start trying to break into a building, it's a riot. I've even said that about January 6th. I'm willing to admit to you that January 6th was a riot. I'm not willing to admit to your description of how and why and who started it, because I know the facts about who started it, because I've played the videos and the audio on this very show. talking about radio chatter, going back and forth between police officers, asking who authorized the use of pepper balls, who authorized the use of non-lethal force, who fired without permission. You've got Nancy Pelosi on tape twice screaming that this was all her fault because she wasn't prepared. And then going in front of the cameras and blaming Donald Trump, even though in private she's telling everybody, hey, this was my screw up. And just to put a point on all of this, because we're, focusing on Minneapolis and Minnesota a lot today, let's talk about these leering centers. I don't know who has to go to school to learn to leer. I'm pretty sure it's kind of a baked in expression, but hey, what do I know? Let's talk about the fact that as of right now, Somalia's GDP is somewhere between 11.2 and 12.4 billion dollars. That means they've stolen from us almost the entirety of the gross domestic product of the country that they came from. And for everybody who's finally starting to figure out that a lot of these folks, even the ones that came here and became citizens, have been bilking the system and using programs, they did that in their own country too. So this isn't anything new. As much as everybody wants to seem to think that it is and act like it is, this isn't anything new. I wish I could say that it was. And I'm not saying there aren't a bunch of lazy people that don't want to do anything. I don't care about the skin color of the people that are doing these things. The left makes it all about the melanin content. I just want to know who's stealing from us and how the hell we have enough taxes coming in that a state can lose $10 billion and nobody notices. How much COVID money has been squandered or embezzled? Hundreds of billions of dollars are missing. Somehow our government didn't seem to notice or care. You know what that tells me? That means they've got a bottomless supply of money, and that's too much damn money. Because if you can be losing billions of dollars and you don't even notice, we need to get our fiscal house in order. Because there's no reason that even 1 billion with a B shouldn't have been enough for somebody to go, hey, we should probably go figure out what happened with that money, because that's a lot of damn money. That's a 1 with 9 zeros after it. We're talking about anywhere between 10 to 11 billion dollars at this point, at last count that I saw, which is either a 1 with 10 zeros after it or 11 with 9 zeros after it, which either way is a hell of a lot of fucking money. Just to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, yeah, exactly, Denny. Sorry, I meant to bring that up a minute ago. But yeah, what about all the people on expired visas? They're not here legally anymore. Have they done anything to try to fix that? Have they left and then applied to come back in like they're supposed to? Or have they just overstayed their visas and now they're inside the lower 48, most likely illegally? Because I'm willing to bet I know which one it is. And I bet if you actually thought about it, you'd probably know too. But we have hit top of the hour, so we're gonna have to take a break. All right, I hit that button a little faster than I thought I was going to. My name is Rick Robinson. You're listening to my show. We're live on KLR Radio. We'll be back. Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name is Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars, come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot. I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero. I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Red dirt roads to the Capitol steps. Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand. Talking sense to the heart of this land. It's the Rick Robinson Show where the truth rides high. No spin, no script, just an eagle in the sky. From DC to Tulsa, he's calling it out.
This is my show, and we're live right here on KLRN. We do this thing every Tuesday through Friday, usually between the hours of 10 to noon Eastern time. I'll be back tonight, hopefully, with Jen and Rick. I don't think there is going to be a culture shift tonight, though, because Brad is off watching his team do well in the bowl games after my team did not do well in the bowl games. So, yes, I'm a little bitter. Not really. It's okay. It's okay. I still think we tried to bring Mateer back too early. I don't think he wasn't ready to come back yet. All right. So, the funny thing is I keep talking, and I don't know why I do this to myself. I'm talking to people about this stupid shooting on social media. It seems to me that maybe you're the one who hasn't seen the video. And, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Guess what? I just linked you the video that I just used as a source. All right, hang on a second, because I just realized I have my Facebook unmuted and it's being cranky. So hang on. I got to fix that. All right. Okay. So, sorry, somebody was actually admitting to me that they said something wrong. Anyway. That is sorry, I'm getting caught up on X. GC, I don't know if you're listening right now, but that is an awesome idea. He's on X when I pointed out that, it's below freezing in Minneapolis today. Fire hoses and all commies go home, I promise. He replied, be sure to load some nice irritants in the water too. I suggest Mercaptan. I'm gonna say yes to that. Yes to all the things. Yes to all the things. All right. Anyway, so let's see what other trouble we can get into, because there's more to talk about than just that. I mean, so okay. So I didn't get a chance to talk about it much. Well, I was going to talk about it yesterday, but I wasn't able to do my show yesterday. Because I was trying to deal with other stuff. So we got to talk about we got to talk about Maduro. We got to talk about the gangster snatch and grab brass ball move that Donald Trump just pulled on a wannabe dictator, which was delicious. And everybody that I know that even has an inkling of leftist leaning is panicking right now, which is, again, makes me want to do happy chair dances and stuff. So Let's break this down. So it was Chinese radar and Russian SAMs and Russian anti-aircraft guns and some Chinese knockoffs of Russian SAMs and Russian anti-aircraft guns because that's what China does. They steal everybody's technology and make their own. And our boys sliced through that stuff like a hot knife through butter. They were in, snatched him and out in less time it would take me in less time than it would take me to order Venezuelan food and have it delivered to my house, is how well this operation went. Like, astoundingly well, which is funny because everybody keeps talking. Everybody on the left, oh my God, Pete Hexas is so incompetent. We're never going to be able to get anything done. Everybody's going to know everything we're doing. You know what they did? They plugged a bunch of leaks. They got rid of the ones that were screaming and yelling, and all of a sudden we're pulling off like stealth missions. We bombed the hell out of Iran to stop their nuclear program. Almost nobody knew it was happening until it was over. We just snatched a dictator out of his own bedroom at one of the biggest military bases in the country and basically just said, all your bases now belongs to us. I mean, not really, because they didn't want to try to do 5 other simultaneous hits, but Venezuela said, okay, you can have a lot of our oil now, though. Thank you. And look, again, for everybody who's wringing your hands and freaking out, well, we're violating international law. No, we're not. You know how I know we're not violating international law? We're the ones who set international law. We're the ones who enforce international law. We're one of the only countries that tries to enforce international law. So if we decide it doesn't matter, guess what? It doesn't fucking matter. I'm sorry. I know that, you guys are used to the meek and mild America that we had under Obama and then we had again under Biden. That doesn't exist right now. We are the America of yesteryear, the one who knew how to kick ass, take names, and get shit done. And that's what we're moving back towards right now. That was one of the reasons why there was this big mindset shift with our military. There's a reason it's called the Department of War again, not the Department of Defense. Because I'm sorry, if you're playing defense, usually you're losing. You have to have both. You have to be able to have a good offense and a good defense. And for the longest time, we haven't. Look at what happened with Afghanistan under Joe Biden. For this person that everybody kept saying was going to be, wasn't going to have any idea what he was doing, was going to get us in over our heads in so many different places. I mean, dude, I know people that were ready to get out of the military that are re-upping again. I know people that that didn't even want to join the military that have decided to join after all. I know people that are going into law enforcement fields and careers that wanted out of them before. Because there's been a mindset shift in this country for the people that are willing to pay attention to it. I don't really know whether they are or not, because last I saw, Trump was doing the Godzilla meme and, going out and snatching oil tankers right out from underneath Russia's nose. But as far as the whole Venezuela thing, the thing that nobody's talking about, look, Maduro was the cherry on the top of the sundae. This Venezuela move did so many different things that I'm still trying to break all of them down, which is why we're starting to talk about it now that I have time to do that. Because I'm going to say this again, where does China get most of its oil? I'll give you 30 seconds to punch it up on the Google machine if you want. Because about 50 to 60% of their oil comes from Venezuela. Iran is heavily involved in Venezuela's oil game. That is why suddenly Iran is on fire. That is why Iran is on fire right now, because they have so many different problems that nobody's even willing to talk about. And then you've got all the leftists. Hang on, let me check something. Okay, yeah, this is the one I was looking for. Hang on, though. I got to fix it now. I haven't used my board in so long that I forgot what some of the buttons are for. But all you keep hearing from the left when it comes to Maduro is this right here.
Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law.
I guess I should rephrase that. That's us making fun of the left yelling that we're breaking the law, because we're not. Dude had an arrest warrant. Dude is not recognized as a legitimate leader of the country. Joe Biden and the Democrats themselves didn't recognize dude as a legitimate leader of Venezuela. Joe Biden, on his way out the door, upped the bounty because he realized he never did anything about Maduro, and he was hoping if he put a $25 million price tag on his head, somebody would take care of it for him on the way out the door. So Donald Trump's just picking up and finishing Democrat unfinished business like he did his first term. If you can't see the difference between the parties anymore, I don't have the time, the patience, the crayons, or the ability anymore to illustrate to you the differences between the parties. And I don't mean the establishment in either party. I mean the people that are leading each party. Because Donald Trump has made it abundantly clear that he cares about America. The Venezuela thing was an America first move. He has reestablished the Monroe Doctrine, which is basically now being coined as the Donroe Doctrine, because it wasn't anything that we were using. We had this whole thing ever since World War II that we weren't going to let crazy stuff happen in our hemisphere. You know, Western Hemisphere is ours. Get the hell out. The only place that was different for was Cuba, because there's not really much we could have done about that one unless we wanted to go to war. But this whole thing is just insane to me, because you've got all these people that are wringing their hands. I mean, I spent an hour talking to somebody that I know, reassuring them of, the fact that, we've got all this different stuff going on and all these different things happening. And everybody's like, oh my God, he's going to get us into World War III. Let me clue you guys in on something. We've been in World War III now for a couple of years. It's not the World War III we were promised. I never got to go yell Wolverines. There hasn't been any type of a nuclear exchange. But we're in the middle of World War III, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. This actually could short circuit the beginnings of World War III. Because China has been saber rattling. China has been using its cheap oil that it gets from Venezuela to build islands in the middle of the ocean, and to do war games against right around a little piece of property that they want to take over. Maybe you've heard of it before. You're in a place called Taiwan. That one. They want that one. They've been doing war games to try to scare up the Taiwanese folks and being okay, we're going to come get you now. Guess who can't do war games without oil? Russia is nothing but a glorified gas station. And they get a lot of their stuff from, guess where again? I have never, well, I take it back. I think I can count on one hand and still have a couple of fingers left the times while Donald Trump has been a politician or a political figure that I have used the phrase 4D chest unironically. This is one of those times. Because this was and could be a masterstroke for the United States of America. Because everybody seems to forget that when the dude before Maduro nationalized their oil industry, he jacked a bunch of stuff from, places like ConocoPhillips. Everybody forgets that we had the mineral rights in Venezuela. Most of the oil rights, we were the ones that cultivated that oil. We were the ones that got the infrastructure set up. We were the ones that negotiated the mineral rights. So for all the folks that are, talking all the time about Native Americans and how we stole their land, first of all, we didn't. It was called war and we won. It's called spoils of war. We need to get back to that again, by the way. We really do. If we actually went in and just ransacked the people that we kicked the shit out of, they would quit trying because they would be broke. Needs to start happening again. Just being honest. Needs to start happening again. And that's exactly what's happening with Venezuela, because Donald Trump says yoink, and now all of a sudden Venezuela's like, we have billions of dollars of oil for you. Please and thank you. Take it. Please and thank you. Because they're terrified. And before anybody's screaming and yelling, you know who brought this on himself? Fucking Maduro. He was the one sitting down in Venezuela screaming about how Donald Trump was a coward and don't take too long. I'm going to be waiting for you right here. Come get me, you coward. I'm sorry. That's not something you say to a president and not expect consequences. I know y'all were used to dealing with Obama and Biden, but we ain't there anymore. This is exactly what I've been talking about, even though I haven't really been doing shows lately as much as I used to. I'm working on fixing that. I have been spending more time on social media, and I explained that, being a child when the transition happened between Carter and Reagan, there are only bits and pieces that I can remember. But the parallels between life after Joe Biden and life after Carter are astounding, because Reagan had the entire Republican establishment freaking the hell out. Everybody forgets that Goldwater was the standard of Republicans before Reagan, and Hillary Clinton was a Goldwater girl. Don't let her forget her conservative upbringing. She switched sides because Ronald Reagan left a bad taste in her mouth. Not Monica Lewinsky style. Calm down, you pervs. Just saying. Calm down, you pervs. All right. I gotta give this one to Rooster. You earned one, sir.
Giggity giggity. Giggity goo.
In the chat. Bill Clinton had a very different masterstroke going on. The only thing you missed was if you get my meeting, Mr. Frodo. That would have made that just anyway. Sorry. Not really. I'm really not. So let's talk about this. This is again from Amy Curtis. For those of you who don't know who Amy Curtis is, she now is a staff writer for Town Hall. She used to work with Twitchy. She's also a contributor to our Weekend News Roundup program that is returning this Friday, hopefully, because it's been missing in action for quite a while. But so Vice President Vance had a lot to say in his Fox News interview, and some folks aren't going to be happy about a lot of it, I don't think. We've got a couple of clips of it here, so hang on. Exactly. That's the only thing that was missing. Well, actually, I didn't sleep because I had a song stuck in my head. So don't show this screenshot to my doctor. I'm too fisting it today to make sure I don't fall asleep during my own show. Anyway. So anyway, yeah, you guys didn't see that. None of you know who my doctor is. Don't go find her. Just saying. Anyway. All right. So JD Vance has been busy. And I have to say, he is probably one of the most chill, just kind of roll with the punches kind of politician that I think I've ever met. And it makes a lot of folks nervous. I absolutely love it because he and I have very similar senses of humor, because people try to trip me up all the time by making fun of me, and I just turn it right back on them, or I just embrace it, and then they don't know what to do with it. So he reminds me of me. Are you my long lost child, JD? No, I'm just kidding. Don't tell him I said that. Anyway, all right. So again, not gonna talk about it much till we listen. So hang on.
I believe, Jesse, we're going to have some very big announcements on this stuff in the next couple of days. I don't want to get ahead of the president on anything, but we believe that there is a nationwide fraud ring that's rooted in rooted in illegal aliens and others taking advantage of the American welfare system. We're going to get to the root of it, and anybody who's involved is going to get prosecuted.
We're going to nip it. We're going to nip it in the bud. All right. Anyway. All right. So there's another clip from that. Hang on. Let me pull that up next.
The Democrats have a little bit of a Somali problem. They've let it
America has a bit of a Somali problem.
Okay. That was a short clip, but it was funny. America has a bit of a Somali problem. Yeah, just to let you know again the extent of America's Somali problem. Their expected GDP for 2025 is anywhere between 11.2 and 12.5 billion dollars. They've already basically stolen from us their almost exact amount of their anticipated GDP. So how much of that is our money? Because that's where most of that's going. That's part of what I've been talking about. We have all these people that come here as migrant seasonal workers, and then they overstay their visas or they do whatever they're going to do. And then all they do is take money from our coffers and send it back home and send it back home and send it back home. This is communism and redistribution of wealth, whether anybody wants to tell you that it is or not, because again, how rich of a country are we when $10 billion can disappear and nobody notices or bats an eyelash? And I realize that money's all ones and zeros now. So the illusion of us being a rich nation is in fact just an illusion. But when you can lose billions of dollars and everybody's like, oh my God, it's like we dropped a nickel. Dude, that's $10 billion. That's not a nickel. All right. And I think we have a couple more here. Hang on.
And I think Minneapolis just really revealed how ridiculous it was. I mean, Jesse, this is the most low IQ fraud scheme imaginable. Like, it's almost shocking that you would have people running a daycare with the quality Leering Center. If you're running a daycare and you can't spell the word learning or you can't spell the word kids, that suggests that maybe you should not be in early childhood education. And the fact that it was so obvious and so blatant does suggest a level of political corruption.
Captain Obvious was quite obvious, dude. The whole Leering Center thing just cracks me up. Like when I was on with Gene and Ross last night, and you know how you can put your work title below the names now on most of these things. He was like founder and president of the BEL Leering Center. I was dying. All right. See. Okay, hang on. I'm going to play this clip, and then I have a suggestion for Vance in case he's listening.
In Minnesota, they were just caught forging documents, trying to cover their tracks. Should Tim Walz resign?
Well, I think Tim Walz should resign. I almost feel bad for the guy, except for the fact that he should have seen this. And whether there was something criminal, whether he was aware of the fraud, which would be criminal, or whether he simply looked the other way, it's a massive, massive failure of government. The Trump administration, by the way, we've already sent hundreds and hundreds of additional people, of resources that are starting to investigate this stuff, get to the bottom of it. Stephen Miller sent people who are literally going door to door at some of these fraudulent daycare centers and trying to understand just how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Dude, it's not a rabbit hole. It's an entire warren. Let's just be honest. All right. So I have a suggestion for everybody who's demanding that Tim Walz resign. How about you guys just, Maduro him and the mayor? We can call it Operation Scratch and Sniff. Come on. That should happen. Y'all should just catch them in their sleep and just snatch them up. Because at this point, stealing that kind of money or allowing that kind of money to be stolen because they either knew about it or they found out after the fact and they didn't do anything about it, I'm sorry, I consider that another act of domestic terrorism. Because you're bilking the United States Treasury and the people of the United States of America, and you're giving it to a bunch of foreigners, most of which don't even actually deserve or have the right to be here. So maybe that's just me. Why do you hate listening to shows on your phone? Why? What happened? Did it go to sleep on you or something? Are you still having computer issues? Do I need to call you when I'm done? Maybe I can help. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So we are going to take a break. For those of you who are just joining us, if you were here earlier, it's going to be a replay for you. But I'm playing the song that I couldn't sleep until I got out of my head today. Because I don't know about y'all, but what happened with the Minneapolis folks and the Lick-a-Lot-of-Puss and the Honda Pilot who tried to kill an ICE agent? Yeah, I said it the way it should have been said the entire time. That inspired this. My name is Rick Robinson. We're going to take a music break. Enjoy this one. We'll be right back. And let me make sure you guys can see it first because I just realized that I was back on the wrong screen. All right, so hang on. Here we go.
Darkness grips the heart of men, and truth becomes a lie. They dress their greed in borrowed prayers and call it justified. The loudest mouths preach mercy with a knife behind their smile. They laugh at those who won't bow down or walk their crooked mile. Those who stand for virtue will be rejected again and again, cast out in the cold for believing that right is still right. Even then, they'll say you're a fool for loving truth and lost for holding the line. When darkness grips the heart of men and truth becomes a lie, they trade their souls for silver and call the bargain peace. They curse the chains of righteousness while begging to be free. The crowd will cheer the liar if the lie feels warm and kind, but stones are safe for anyone who dares to reject the lies for the truth. Those who stand for virtue will be rejected again and again, branded the enemy for refusing to kneel as weak men did. They'll crown the wolves as shepherds and blindfold every eye. When darkness grips the heart of men and truth becomes a lie. Blessed are the lonely who won't betray what they believe. The road is narrow, the cost is high, but chains don't set you free. I'd rather walk with scars and God than kneel with gilded hands. Truth don't need 1,000 voices, just one that dares to stand. Those who stand for virtue will be rejected again and again, but the fire they try to bury still burns in faithful men. And then let the ages judge the moment, let heaven hear our cry. When darkness grips the heart of men, we will not live the lie. Take his name, but truth don't die. It burns eternal flame.
And welcome back into the final segment of
He's breaking down the noise.
The Friday Eve edition of the Rick Robinson Show. For those of you who are not semi-retired and actually have to do jobs that you don't like, sorry, I really wasn't trying to rub that in, but still. Anyway, I call myself semi-retired because I still work an awful lot for somebody who's supposed to be retired, but I work on all the things that I really like to do now, so I guess that makes it all better. Anyway, so we're back, we're live. We got to talk about this because speaking of califailure, as BZ started calling it, and I've kind of adopted. There's a thing happening that I didn't know about until I pulled up the Blaze a minute ago. So apparently there's a reckoning day coming for Governor Newsom because Trump's Department of Transportation has officially, you know how they snatched Maduro up in the middle of the night? Guess what? They just snatched $160 million over the illegal truckers' licenses. So the federal government and califailure have been battling over foreign drivers with commercial driver's licenses for months. As the Trump administration continues to meet resistance from blue state governors across the nation, califailure is now reaping what it sowed by illegally issuing truckers' licenses to foreigners. On Wednesday, Secretary of Transportation, none other than Sean Duffy. You notice how with this guy, it's almost they have to tell you what his name is, unlike the last guy, because you knew what his name was, because something was always screwing up. Anyway, I mean, yeah, it was pretty rocky in the first couple of months, but that's because the last guy didn't do shit. And again, like I said, Donald Trump is having to come in and clean up a lot of Democrat messes, and everybody's wondering why it's taken so long to get us to this point. I will say this before I go back to the story. I do blame Donald Trump for saying that he was going to come in and start fixing stuff on day one, because that gave ammunition to the retards. I know, and you know, and everybody here knows what he meant was he was going to be starting the process to make things better on day one. But since he said he was going to fix things on day one, all the retards on day two were like, what happened to day one? And then day three, and day four, and day five, and day six. And they're still doing it. But so anyway, on Wednesday, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy announced that it was reckoning day for the state of California and its Democrat governor, Gavin Newsom. Gavin refused, so now I am pulling nearly $160 million from Califailure. In a social media post, Duffy explained that the Trump administration's demands follow the rules, revoke the unlawfully issued licenses to dangerous foreign drivers, fix the system so this never happens again. Duffy's post comes after months of demanding that Califailure revoke commercial driver's licenses illegally issued to foreigners. Duffy provided a short video showing that Newsom had many opportunities to comply with that same federal law. However, Gavin refused, according to Duffy. And I quote, so now I am pulling nearly $160 million. That's not enough, but it's a start. From Califailure under POTUS federal dollars won't fund this charade. The funding will be withheld from Califailure beginning in fiscal year 2027. Again, not happening fast enough. California agreed in November to revoke every illegally issued license within 60 days. As of January 5th, 2026, deadline Califailure has again failed to follow through on this agreement, leading to the major withholding of federal funding. At least 17,000 licenses were expected to be revoked on Monday. 17,000 illegal CDLs issued in the state of Califailure. According to a Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration audit reviewed by Fox News, more than 20,000 active non-domiciled CDLs were issued in violation of federal rules. The FMCSA reportedly described the situation in Califailure as a systematic collapse of the commercial licensing program. And I quote, federal regulations are clear. States must correct safety deficiencies on a schedule mutually agreed upon by the agency. And Califailure failed to meet its commitment, big surprise, to rescind these unlawfully issued licenses by January 5th. FMCSA Administrator Derek Bars said, according to Fox News. And I quote yet again, we will not accept a corrective plan that knowingly leaves thousands of drivers holding non-compliant licenses behind the wheel of 80,000-pound trucks in open defiance of federal safety regulations, Bars added. California DMV spokesperson Eva Spiegel responded to the loss of federal funding in a statement. We strongly disagree with the federal government's decision to withhold vital transportation funding from California. Their actions jeopardize public safety because these funds are critical for maintaining and improving their roadways. we all rely upon every day. I think you guys allowing people that are, killing people by making illegal U-turns and can't read common street signs and, obey traffic laws, I think that's probably a little bit more of a safety risk than the crap that you're screaming and yelling about right now. All right. Anyway. All right. So let's see what other trouble we can get into real quick. I'm going to say this again as we continue to marinate in the winter of discontent for our leftist friends. It's below freezing in Minneapolis right now. Hats, bats, and riot hoses, and all these people fucking go home. You get them soaking wet in freezing weather, they're not going to hang around anymore. Hey, Ms. Gnome, get on that. Let's go. You said they were terrorists. You're waterboarding terrorists. It's fine. We're allowed to waterboard terrorists, remember? It's public waterboarding. Just soak them. I guarantee you every single one of them will go home. Or there'll be popsicles. I mean, I don't know if commie-sickles taste good, but I guess we could find out. I'm just saying. Anyway. I'm sleep deprived, so I have even less of a filter than usual. So, if anybody's wondering. Okay. We got to talk about this because this is the second article that I've seen about this. With everything that's going on with Iran, there are some conservative folks that are starting to ask this question: is it go time in Iran? I'm going to say probably, and I'm going to explain why in a second. But I want to take a look at this article first. So riots have racked Iran now for 11 days. As of the time of the writing of the article that I'm looking at right now. This is the current iteration of anti-regime actions dating back decades, but this time there's reason to believe it might actually work. This current iteration of riots was caused by a perfect storm of untrammeled power and room temperature IQs. The chrysalis events were a collapsing economy, rampant inflation, and widespread frustration with government corruption and repression. And of course, we can't forget Hezbollah having its butt handed to it and President Trump audaciously taking out Iran's previously untouchable nuclear program. Adding insult to injury is a regime so out of touch with the daily lives of its people that it does things that beggar the imagination. This is from John Fetterman, U.S. Senator John Fetterman's X account. This is a testament to how our nation and Israel broke around. So this is from Fox News. Iran offers citizens $7 monthly payments as protests spiral over economic crisis. I'm going to pull this up over here to make sure it's not been cut off. And because it's a $7 payment. They're going to pay you $7 a month to sit down and shut up. I don't know how much $7 is in Iranian money, but that doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like a lot. But anyway. So we shouldn't get a case of irrational exuberance over the possibility of Venezuela and Iran collapsing in the same month. Shouldn't we, though? Because just a little more pressure in the right place, and it could happen. Just saying. If you followed Iran at all, you know the regime is tough and resilient. It will not give up easily because the next step for most supporters without Swiss or Cayman Islands bank accounts will be up against the wall. Dun, dun, dun. So, or in this case, Islamofascist. Just saying. Unfortunately, the correct approach whenever you hear about protests in Iran is to wait and see. The regime has survived countless protests that were supposed to have toppled it. I remember as a kid watching everyone on TV talk about how Iran was ready to fall in the summer, places like 1999, Iranian student protest, 2003, Iranian student protest again, 2009 to 2010, Iranian presidential election protest, 2011 to 2012, Iranian protest, 2016, Cyrus the Great Revolt, 2017 to 2018, more Iranian protests, 2018 to 2019, Iranian general strikes and protests, 2019 to 2020, Iranian protest. Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 protest. 2021 to 2022, more Iranian protests. 2022, Iranian food protest. 2022 to 2023, Masa Amini protest. Women's life freedoms movement around the same time frame. But so I don't know. Is there something different with it this time? Is there maybe kind of maybe a change in the air? Is there a feeling of confidence? Maybe a bit of reckless courage? Because I do have to admit, the footage that I've been seeing is kind of surprising. So the people of Iran are burning Islamic buildings to the ground. I have a clip of this. So yes, we are going to enjoy this together. We are going to enjoy this together because we can. All right, we're going to play it again because it was short and I want to enjoy it. One more time. Okay, now I'll quit. I'll behave, maybe, eventually, when I know what a have is and learn how to be one. Anyway, sorry, old joke. But look, so not only is that happening, I saw something, and I meant to talk about this earlier, and I got sidetracked by something when I was going off about, how, in Islamic countries, the devout Islamists that, are praying all over Great Britain and everywhere else publicly and making a spectacle of themselves. It's illegal to do that in already converted Islamic countries. But so anybody remember the Scotsman Wallace, portrayed by Mel Gibson yelling freedom, that guy? So I think one of his ancestors might be still kicking around in Scotland, because there is a certain Scotsman who every time he hears the Muslim call to prayer over the PA in Scotland, he starts wailing on bagpipes as loud as he can. This is the way. For all the rest of you milquetoast British motherfuckers, this is the way. Start pushing back. Start pissing them off. Right now, you're rolling over like a bunch of bitches. Look, we've already saved you twice. We're not doing it this time. We refuse. Fix your own shit. Nice. If I can get the internet working, my filter will most definitely be in the off position. If you're still struggling and you need some help, I can help you tonight, because I'm gonna be, if you're doing a show, I'll be running it anyway. So if you need help, let me know. We'll figure it out. Somehow I can help you get it squared away. We'll figure it out. Anyway, okay, so we got what, about 9 minutes left? I'm sure there's some more trouble we can get into somewhere by now. I'm gonna say this again: hats, bats, and riot hoses. Everybody would go home. Just pointing that out. What? Okay, so maybe it's because I'm tired, because I don't understand this headline. So let's look at this together. This is from Ward Clark. Apparently, Ted Cruz is pissed off about something, and I'm not quite sure what he's talking about. So let's take a look. So this is again from yesterday. So things in Washington apparently just seem to be getting more and more interesting lately, because on Wednesday, Senator Ted Cruz, speaking in a Senate hearing, called for Congress to carry out the impeachment of 2 federal judges. Okay, so that makes more sense now. The judges in question are Judge James Boasberg and Judge Deborah Boardman. Judge Boardman, we might recall, in addition to having an apparent case of stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome, dude, no, she's like stage 6 Trump derangement simplex 12. Just saying. Was the judge who handed down an intolerably light sentence to someone who attempted the assassination of a Supreme Court justice. Senator Cruz, it seems, much like most of the rest of us, has apparently had enough. I'll believe it when people start getting handcuffed, though. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican Texas, and I quote on Wednesday, called on Congress during a Senate hearing to impeach 2 federal judges, making his most elaborate case for imposing the extraordinary sanctions on a pair of closely scrutinized jurists. And I, unlike the author of the piece, use the term jurist rather loosely. Cruz acknowledged that impeaching federal judges is exceedingly rare. 15 have been impeached in history, typically for straightforward crimes like bribery. But the Texas Republican argued it was warranted for Judges James Boasberg and Deborah Boardman. I actually agree with him. Rare still until now, were the deeper offenses the framers feared most. Judges who, without necessarily breaking a criminal statute, violate the public trust, subvert the constitutional order, or wield their office in ways that injure society itself. According to Ted Cruz, and I quote as he continued, this is why throughout history, Congress recognized the impeachable misconduct need not be criminal. Senator Cruz may well remind Democrats of the veracity of that last statement, that impeachable misconduct need not be criminal if we are to take into account the 2 attempted impeachments of none other than President Donald John Trump. In his first term, it seems certain that to Democrats, impeachable misconduct need not even be factual. But the odds of this happening, well, they don't look so great. See, told you, don't get your hopes up. Cruz, a Senate Judiciary Committee member with an extensive legal background, said the House needed to initiate impeachment proceedings over controversial gag orders Boasberg signed in 2023 and a sentence Boardman handed down last year in the case of Justice Brett Kavanaugh's attempted assassination. Impeachment proceedings must be initiated in the House and typically run through the House Judiciary Committee. Russell Dye, a spokesman for the GOP-led committee, said everything is on the table. Sure it is. When asked if Chairman Jim Jordan, Republican Ohio, was open to the idea if the House were to vote in favor of impeachment, it would then advance to the Senate. 2/3 of senators would need to vote to convict the judges and remove them, a highly improbable scenario because the vote would require some support from Democrats, which we know isn't going to happen. But you know what? It didn't stop the Democrats from trying. We got to start remembering that some of this, especially with election season coming up, is about optics. If their constituents can't see them actually starting to try to accomplish some of the things that they told us they were going to do, there's still a chance that they could very, very easily snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Because right now, you would think in a sane America, we would be coasting to a supermajority in both houses at this point. But we don't live in a sane America anymore. We live in an America where everybody can be looking at the same footage of an ICE agent being nearly run over and being hit by a car who fired in self-defense, and half the country thinks that he's a raving lunatic murderer. So we don't live in a sane America anymore. We need to start adjusting to that fact as well. I don't know how we do it, but we need to start figuring it out. Because again, I'm going to say this. It was one thing when it was differing opinions, and that's how it was when I started this going on now 17 years ago, when I started a Facebook page and eventually, decided I didn't just want it to be nothing but right-leaning stuff because it got boring. Because I really believed when I started all of this that if we could put aside those, 6, 7, 8 hot button issues that everybody always argues about no matter what, that we would find that we have more in common with each other than we have with our political masters, because they're not our servants anymore. And it's gotten so bad now, I don't know how we're going to be able to come back from this. Yesterday just illustrated the point to me yet again. It's what inspired this entire song that I've played now twice today, that I spent hours working on because I had to get it out of my brain. Because this hurts. Watching the country that I love, watching the country that I swore an oath to protect, even if it was on a smaller scale than the military, watching the country that a lot of my family members have taken oaths to, that have sworn to protect, trying to rip itself apart, not even of its own making, but from outside influences and rich billionaires who want us fighting with each other. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know how we come back from it. You know what? I didn't even really get a chance to pay attention to that, so I'm gonna have to go find the archives on that. But that doesn't surprise me. Denny was pointing out that there were Dem reps at the the committee that was discussing the frauds who didn't really talk about any other fraud, but just how much they hated Donald Trump. I don't know about y'all, but that doesn't surprise me at all. All right, so we're going to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about out of time. I'll be back tonight, hopefully with Jen and Rick. I'm going to text her in a minute and see if she's ready to come back from the break, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. And then hopefully we have BZ later tonight, because I missed you on Tuesday, brother. I got back in time that I could have at least listened to the last hour, and then I realized you weren't on, and I was all sad. Anyway. Yeah, so for anybody who was wondering why I wasn't on Manorama on Tuesday, that's because my youngest son, who had the part in his car, didn't ever change his starter till it failed on him. And I had to go help. Anyway. Dude, exactly. Dude, like my uncle who was in the Navy during Vietnam would be pissed right now with everything that we're going through. So I can only, and my grandfather one of my grandfathers was a CB during World War II. The other one was in the Army. If either one of them were alive right now, they would be pissed as hell, dude. Anyway, so BZ just put in the chat, imagine my father from looks like World War II watching this country. Imagine working for 42 years on law enforcement and watching the country being torn apart. I wasn't in law enforcement that long, and I actually spent most of my time in private sector work because, reasons. Injury. They wanted to put me behind a desk, and I didn't want to go. I should have went. I'd have 3 full retirements by now if I would have went. I should have taken the desk gig for a while and just wrote it out, but I was young and thought I could still accomplish some things, and I did do a lot of fun things. I mean, I did some bail enforcement, some fugitive recovery, some executive protection. It was fun times. It was fun times. Couldn't do it now. And my youngest is still considering going into law enforcement eventually. I am still trying to make sure that he pays really close attention to where he decides to go to work at, if he decides to do so. But we're going to get out of here, folks. Again, want to thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today.
Cutting through the light.
Kind of a weird one lately. You never know when I'm going to be on. I'm going to try to make things more normal from now on. I know that's a stretch coming from me. Nothing about me is normal. My name's Rick Robinson. This has been my show. I'll be back with you tomorrow and also hopefully later tonight. Bye, everybody.
Red dirt roads to the Capitol steps. Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand. Talking sense to the heart of this land.
Say goodnight, Greg.